Hi, my name is Alicia. Welcome to my island. Today we're going to do a different episode, not a tour video. We are going to do a cooking episode. Basically, we are going to do one of my favorite plates, which is what we call in Puerto Rico fricassé de pollo. But as friendly and home cooking as it can be, it requires some steps. So we are going to start with the basics, and we are going to start with making the sofrito. Sofrito is something our grandmas taught us. It is a lot of these fresh vegetables. Here is how the personality of every Puerto Rican is reflected based on their sofrito, right? So I like to do mine a little bit spiced up. I like to include red onion. I like to include white onion. This is what we know as pimiento verde, but it's what's known as banana pepper in English, not spicy at all. I always like to put a full head of garlic, and as questioning as this might look, right, because it might lead you to think that it's hot. Nope, not at all. Puerto Ricans do not spice their food in the process. We usually have a little bottle in the center of the table, and we just, add heat to our taste. But this is what we call ají dulce, which is basically sweet pepper. And then, of course, we add recao. Recao, you put Google and you ask for translation and it says coriander. But on my tours, I've had so many people say, oh, that coriander? No, that's not coriander. That's not what I know as coriander, but this is recao. And you ask Google, coriander. In my recao, I like to add a little bit more spunk to it. I like to add fresh cilantro. I don't know, it just gives it a different touch, like me. It's always good to add a little olive oil. Not that I'm branding any particular brand, I just find whatever is in special at the supermarket. So what was in special was the aceite de oliva Betty's, which is my favorite. So we're gonna add just a little drizzle. I'm looking right here at about a good, half a cup. Make sure, or you might want to have noise cancellations, because these things are very loud. Guys, this is just proof that you can personalize your sofrito. Just add to taste whatever you have, veggies lying around. Now, sofrito is something very typical to Puerto Rico, but this is something that perhaps can adapt to all types of countries. You can say it's like a processed pico de gallo, but just better. And this is what's going to be the base for our fricassé de pollo, for our chicken stew. Now that we have the sofrito going, and because we're gonna be making rice to accompany the chicken stew, this fricassé de pollo, I wanna go ahead and get the rice going, because it's gonna take about a good 25-30 minutes to cook. So in Puerto Rico, what can I say? A lot of us are brought up by our grandmothers, and it was my aba, my grandma, the one that taught me how to cook the basics before I went on to culinary school. But amongst the rices I like, and I mean, this is a non-paid advertisement, I like sello rojo. I also like to cook with medium grain rice for these types of stews. I don't know, it's like if you're an Italiano, it's like orzo pasta, but a little bit shorter, but it's about like risotto, but it's just still very, very good. Now, the recipe for it, for every cup, is 1.5 cups of water. So I already have 3 cups set up because we are a big group. A lot of Puerto Ricans in the city will go ahead and just cook it normally, put a little oil and then add the water, and then when the water boils you add the rice, and of course you season with salt. But we're gonna make it special. We're gonna make it like the hillbillies do, and we are going to add pork fat to it. It makes it a little bit glossier, it makes it a little bit, makes your lips chap. So we're gonna add here about a good 2 full tablespoons of oil. We're going to go ahead and add that pork fat so it starts frying. Once you have the pork fat already golden, and if I am going to make 3 cups of rice, I want to put 4.5 cups of water in, and you want to do it fast. Remember, you're pouring water into hot oil. Now, the crispiness for me of the pork fat, keeping it as brown, is when you bite it, that surprise, that kind of just. But I will have to give you the warning, this is not for people that have sensitive teeth. I have left 1 or 2 molars eating it. Now I will season this to taste with just salt, give it a little stir. Now, as soon as this starts to boil, that's when I'll add the rice. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started now preparing the chicken. I like to feed my family with fresh food. So considering, you know, all the drama that has been going around as far as what they feed the chickens with, I decide to go to a local market in Santurce, in Villa Palmera. It's Eduardo Conde Street. It's called La Pollera, and they grow their own chickens, and then you can go and buy them based on the pound. So this is about how you get the pollo del país. There we go. Here it's literally how we say in the island, lo hace por ojo. You do it by the eye. You more or less want to just fill the whole bottom of the pot with oil, just about that much of oil. Now at this point you just want your oil to heat up, and then to this oil we are going to add the homemade sofrito we just made earlier. Now you see that our water is already boiling, so while our chicken stew pot is heating up with the oil, we're gonna go ahead and add the rice. As I said, I already had 3 cups of rice measured, so we're just gonna go ahead and add that, and we're going to stir. Now when you're cooking the rice, every now and then you want to come and stir it, because if not, it's like we say, it kind of balls up and doesn't cook properly. But you have to be careful, because if you stir it too much, then it's what we say, te queda mogollao. It's basically like an uncooked risotto. You don't want that. All right, let's check our oil. All right, see, I can barely hold it. 3 seconds. So we're gonna go ahead and add the sofrito straight from the Cuisinart. I'm a little bit lazy. I don't wanna wash so many dishes tonight, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab it right off it. So I wanna go ahead and pull for a full chicken. You wanna go ahead and pull 2 full tablespoons of it. Now once you put in the sofrito, you wanna stir it around. It is already processed, but you really want all of those flavors to start cooking up, opening. And now is when I add my chicken. Now for the first part of this, some people are lazy, some people just put everything in, but I want to take my time. I want this to be super special guest tonight. So I just want this to simmer and cook, and the chicken to just go ahead and absorb all the fresh veggies that we just processed. So we put it in low heat for a little bit, put the top on, and let Mother Nature do her job. Now, we're going to go ahead and move right to our chicken stew. And when you want the chicken to marinate with that sofrito and let it simmer for about 5-10 minutes, when you open the top, it should give you that smoky feeling, so you know you're doing it right. You want to go ahead and turn it again. Now at this point, now that you see that the chicken is more or less white, I want to go ahead and add my salt and pepper. Yes, Puerto Ricans cook a lot with adobo, and of course Goya, another non-paid advertisement, but si es Goya, tiene que ser bueno. So I like to use Goya adobo, and I also like the one that has pepper, so I don't have to waste my pepper. But nevertheless, we're gonna go ahead and add our seasoning to our chicken, black pepper, and as we say, aquí está el secreto de abuela. Again, if it's Goya, it's gotta taste good. I like mine to have culantro y achote, coriander, and annatto. For one full chicken, I use one full packet. Now it'll start giving it that golden color you want your chicken stew to come out with. Again, you want to let it sit for about 5 minutes so that soaks, and we will come right back with the next step. Now, this is going to be a drunken chicken stew, but it's like a cutting corner. Some people in the city like to put wine, some people like to put olives. I will be putting olives a little bit later on, but I like mine to be the drunken one. The drunken one is like a combination of Cuban cuisine and Puerto Rican. Local one will have, we can say, the wine, but my grandma cooked it with the beer, and well, she was Cuban, so and she liked to drink, so that's why we call it the drunken fricassé de pollo. But let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and then go find your favorite beer and just add on to it. All right, so it's already been 5 minutes. How do you know if what you want to be done is done? You just basically lift up the top. If you have that smoking coming out, chicken is already releasing its water. We're gonna go ahead and sponsor the local beer, Medalla. It's done in Mayagüez by Cervecera de Puerto Rico. And you just wanna pour it in. Now also at this time, you wanna add your tomato sauce. Again, Goya. And this is the one I use. When I use a whole chicken, I don't use the whole can. I use more or less half the can. All right, also at this point, Goya. Aceituna, olives. I like to use one that has alcaparrado. That means it has the red bell pepper. Adds a little bit more flavor to it. Here's what my grandma always taught me was the secret to the good chicken stew. I hope I have it, and yes I do, which is hojas de laurel, bay leaves, 2 size bay leaves, and now we just cover. You go from medium heat to medium low heat, and in about half hour you should have your chicken stew ready. So to accompany our fricassé de pollo, some people like to use sweet plantains because you can combine the saltiness from the sofrito and the marinade on the chicken. That's how I really like it. But today we are going to do tostones. Tostones is the fried green plantains that kind of get all of you crazy. So we're going to start by showing you what a plantain is. Plantain is a little bit oversized banana right? And if you want to compare in size, well, the other day we went to the Rock Slides and they gave me a banana hand. So this is the difference between bananas and plantains, all right? They're a little bit bigger, and we are now going to start cutting them. Now, for the first step of the tostones, you more or less want to cut the plantain about 1 inch. If you don't want to be perfect and have a ruler while you cut, 1 inch, it's more or less the length of your thumb. So you cut and you continue cutting. First step of making tostones, you cut the plantain and you put them in the oil to fry. Now with the plantain, you want to give them about 3 minutes. Again, they should be golden brown. You don't want to take them out before, because then they're going to be difficult to smash and they're going to stick. You want to get them to that right 3 minute and a half before you bring them out and you smash them. So while the tostones are cooking, I went ahead and I got a little vase with water going. I am going to add a little salt to it just to flavor the water. And here's an old trick my grandma told me. Yes, you can make tostones, but the trick to making it crispy, before one fry, smashing them, and the other, you want to put them through the water and the salt. And when you put them in the oil, of course, salt and water don't mix, so it's going to give it that little extra crisp. So when you bite into it, you get that crunchy sensation. All right, so it's been about 3 minutes right now, and I am going to start taking out my tostones. Now, in order to make the tostones, the next step obviously is to smash them. So we go ahead and we get a tostonera, because it's where you smash the tostones, so that's why it's called tostonera. But because I know a lot of you don't have this accessible, I am just going to demonstrate how us locals do it. But then I am going to also give you, when you are in the States and you can find this, the other solution. So first you want to oil the tostonera just so that the plantain doesn't stick, and then you just smash. You pick up with your knife and you're set. Now, if you don't have a tostonera, you can just use any regular can. All right, at this point I am, well, what can I say? I'm a fan of Goya. Pink beans is something that we usually consume. So I'm just going to put a little oil right here where I am going to smash my tostones. Usually it's a cutting board. And I am also going to add a little oil to the bottom of the can that I am going to use make sure it's good in the edges so it doesn't stick. Now you basically just grab your toston and flatten it with the bean can and it's right about the same. Let me stir this real quick, make sure the salt is right there where I want it before I add the tostones. Ooh, a little bit of water got into my oil. And that is exactly the crispy sensation you're going to have when you bite into it. Now while you have the tostones frying, you can go ahead and at this time check your rice. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Nice and loose, glossy, just like I wanted it. And if they are hard, you know they are ready to be brought out. Now, a lot of Puerto Ricans salt it again, but in this case, I am a little garlic addict, so I am going to put a little bit of Don Goyo's garlic salt. And kind of move it around. All right, and we are ready to plate. Now, sometimes, here's a secret, when your broth doesn't thickens, you want to go ahead and thicken it, you grab one of the potatoes. I added while the chicken stew was going on, and you just want to press it against the edge and then just simmer it in, and that's going to go ahead and thicken your sauce immediately, and you are ready to serve. Now, here are some guidelines of how I know if my chicken is cooked. Usually I will go for the chicken drums. If you see that the skin is already breaking apart from the bone, that means that your chicken stew is ready to be served. Now, yes, we have cooked a special rice, pork fat rice, but how you kick it up a notch, grab a little bit of that chicken gravy, put it on top, and there you have your fricassé de pollo con tostones. So I have just introduced to you how to make fricassé de pollo with white rice and pork fat. This is about how you'd get it in the restaurants, but when you are at home, if you really want to kick this meal up a notch, you gotta find one of these. Avocado. Yes, I know you might be surprised. This is the size of our avocados, and we are in season. So, if you really wanna be a true Puerto Rican, you just add una raja de aguacate to this home meal plate. And you have got yourself an authentic Puerto Rican meal. Grab your fork and buen provecho. Mm. Mm. Mm.